Ki khubor ka bate si TV.
Pindon kam da ka Mahindra Power Roll India's #1 generator. Pinlat ka khuslai lahamiet nishai. Spare parts but service ru pinyo klem jinkhuslai. ICFA University Meghalaya is now open for admissions for the academic year 2025. Explore our best courses and apply today. Fee concessions are available for domicile students of the state of Meghalaya.
Noilam jangka liang persya Dr. Mukul sangba hakan riu terik ujilio arja pesan ula dawa beri bentung da ka jing Tohkit halor ka Jingkynnoh bakadon ka jirsi Bamsap haka bapen trikam ya ka Ganol small hydro project ka bapen mi ya ka boarding ka ba R poinsan megawatt. Kani kalawan hadian ba ka kenhun menteri jam ka sorkar jela. Kala menjuri ka jing terwa ban mang pisasyo sa lai popular tingka na ka bentaban penkhut ya ki jing sio badangsa haka bay day bat ka Ganol power project.
My attention has been drawn to the media reports which has carried pertaining to the total expenditure incurred for the completion of Ganol small hydro project with a megawatt generation capacity of 22.5 megawatt in Garvins, Tura. Now, the whole electricity sector, overall mandate of the Electricity Act 2003 provides a very robust system to enable the stakeholders to ensure that whatever power is generated, because whatever power is generated is with an intent to serve the end users. Here in our case, they are domestic consumers, they are commercial consumers, which includes various small industries, small and medium enterprises, large industries. But we always look at how to ensure that the cost of generation of power can be at the minimum, given the kind of challenges that we have with time overrun and cost overrun. So the robust mechanism which has been made available through the mandate of the law, the Electricity Act 2003, with various statutory bodies. You have the your regulatory commissioners, you have the central electricity regulators, both state, and if you look at the instant case pertaining to this Ganol hydroelectricity project, what has drawn our attention, which has been flagged number of times before the government, in order to see that they rectify things, minimize the cost of completing this project, because the cost of the project will determine the tariff of the power which is passed on to the consumers. Here you will see that the cost which has been worked out, the tariff that is being determined to be passed on to the consumer is rupees 12.80. So you can understand how these are calculated and how this is passed on to the consumers. You have to look at that this cost has come down only after minusing the grant that has been provided for the completion of this project. Because in order to ensure that the project is completed, the government has scouted for different sources of funding, which includes the government grant. Besides the loan, which was also again dedicated loan from the NABARD. And therefore, in spite of the grant of which is projected at a figure of 314 after the completion of this project by this current government, you still have this much of tariff passed on to the consumer. Now what I'm trying to bring to your notice is, look at the difference. when the project was initiated, not the conceptualized, because the project was conceptualized in 2006-7 and the sanction was accorded in 2007. But 2008, post-election, a new government, which was of course led by led Dr. Don Cooper Roy, during which time the incumbent chief minister, Mr. Conrad Sangma, was the minister in charge of power as well and finance. They decided not to go ahead with the project. There was a dilly-dally. Therefore, the total, the duration of validity of contract, any builder, when they participate in any bidding process, the validity of that offer in the bidding, there is a specific validity period. So the validity period having expired, there was no extension of that validity, which indirectly tells us that it was allowed to have the process was allowed to go to have its own natural death. Take up 2009, we came back to power. We initiated this whole process again. 2010 till 2014, we work on this to revive the project, because the whole estimate has to be revised, because the overall schedule of rates must conform to the current market index in terms of the materials used in the bill of quantity. Therefore, the project cost came up. And the project cost, which was approved at the time when the project was started, was 356.43 crores. I repeat, 356.43 crores only. And the duration of time for completion of the project was from the time of implementation, starting of the implementation of the project, was only 28 months. That means less than 3 years. Now you will not see projects of this nature, hydroelectricity projects, which can be completed within 3 years or below 3 years. That means the access to the project site was easy. That means the project was one of the best which could have been completed in time, within 3 years. Now there will always be unforeseen challenges, but by 2017-18, the project has been completed to an extent that after 5-6 months, in 2018 December, the project was scheduled to be commissioned. If you go back to the whole series of informations that was shared by the Meghalaya Electricity Generation Corporation Limited, you will see that these informations were shared in a very, very transparent manner. That means there was no more scope for any further delay, nor for any escalation. I repeat, therefore, with that declaration that the project was to be commissioned by December 2018, it can be easily interpreted for the understanding of every one of us that means there was no more scope for both time overrun and cost overrun. But what has happened is that subsequently the corporation came up with a petition for revision of the cost. Now, revision of the cost was processed by following various procedures which is required, and by that whole exercise, the corrected and revised projected costs for the project with that kind of with the price level calculated at that current price of 2019 was 507.7 crore. I repeat, 507.7 crore. That is the revised projected cost of the project for completion. Now again, there is no end to this whole exercise of engaging in revision petition for increasing the cost. Subsequent revision was done, and the 507.7 crore came up to 535.34 crore. That is in 2023. We are in 2025. And yesterday, when I looked at the news carried by the media pertaining to the submission of the Chief Minister post-cabinet meeting, the figure now is projected as at 590.88 crore. Now, please understand one thing, that every single paisa which is spent for any generation project, the cost of that generation of the power is passed on to the consumers. That is how the overall tariff settlement works. The generation company will submit before the State Electricity Regulatory Commission to determine the tariff based on this projected expenditure. And therefore, every tariff is calculated based on this cost. That means the more the cost, the more the tariff. Now, you look at the audacity of this government, that from 356.43 crore, they have proposed and they have approved the revise in 2019 at 507.70 crore. Then subsequently in 2023, their again revision figure showed 535.34 crore. And the figure which was reflected in the media briefing of the Honorable Chief Minister stands at 590.88 crore available for the corporation to clear all the pending dues of the contractors. The government has the responsibility of paying all the pending liabilities of the contractors. But what is important here is, how is it possible for a power project of this size to have the space for repetition and revision of their projected cost? And as I have said, the ramification of this cost overrun is ultimately, there has two negative effects. One is the drainage of money from scarce public exchequer. This is a project which was supported by grant from the government. That means money from public exchequer. Now, instead of less than 400, you will end up spending close to 600. You look at the total cost of the project at the rate of if you calculate the cost of generation per megawatt, it is a 22.5 megawatt project. It is also eligible for certain incentives from Government of India because this is considered as renewable power projects. And if you are looking at the total cost which has been spent after this repeated revision, which was avoidable, I am repeating, which was avoidable, the cost of generation per megawatt has come to 26.26. Nowhere in this country probably has spent more than even 20 crore per megawatt, even in the most difficult areas. Now, Meghalaya has shown the way, so others will follow. So these are trial balloons. These are trial balloons to see whether people react or not. It is very important for us not to remain silent on this kind of modus operandi that this government of the day has so well scripted in every sector. Every project is being abused and misused as the milking cow, at the cost of the interest of the state, at the cost of the interest of the people. Every single paisa, every resources that is spent from the government exchequer has to have its intended outcome in an optimum manner. And the government of the day, irrespective of which government has shouldered the responsibility of governance, every government has the responsibility of protecting the interests of the state. Every person who are vested with the authority, power in different line departments, they are required to ensure that they shoulder the responsibility of protecting the interests of the state. Now here it seems that all this exercise has been done in such a way that this whole exercise, which have ultimately resulted into such an skyrocketing surge in the whole cost of completion of the project, no due diligence, or rather there seems to be complete insensitivity to by all the concerned authorities who were responsible to really do proper auditing of the projected escalation of the project cost, and see that the scarce resources from the public exchequer are not wasted by this avoidable inflated cost of this project. I will require, therefore, the government to give us complete clarity on this necessity of cost overrun. As you have seen, I have referred to this figure starting from 356 crore. The first revised projected cost was 507, then it goes up to 590. There's a huge escalation. That cannot be ruled out. That's why there has to be an investigation. I have every reason to at least doubt the integrity in as far as this escalation and the expenditure that has been incurred. As I have earlier shared with you, if the project was to be commissioned in 2028, December, suddenly you find that there is a petition for revision of the whole project. And that was revised till 507. Then now it goes to 535. Then it goes to 590. That doesn't happen with any project. The outcome of an independent inquiry shall give us the clarity. Therefore, the need for an inquiry. There must be an inquiry. Because we have tried to find out all the factors that has been weaponized to justify this projected escalation of cost. Therefore, whether those components of work, those scope of works really existed, or there are always phases of work, certain scope of work, certain component of works which are under the surface, certain components of work which are above the surface. Now, after you have completed all the available scope of works as per the bill of quantity approved, which are below the surface, is there any more room and any more space for any work which will enable the agencies or implementing authorities to say that there were some geological surprises? Geological surprises will happen under the surface of the land, not above the surface. So therefore, there's a reason to come up with proper investigation. We must see that this exercise is in order to ensure that the same thing doesn't become a precedent. Otherwise, we allow the government of the day to get away, it becomes a precedent. It emboldens people.
From the hills of the east, a new voice rises. Hello Meghalaya, our state's first ever OTT platform streaming stories, music and dreams. From folklore to films, beats to breakthroughs, this is where culture meets creativity. Discover award-winning talents, breakthrough creators, and untold stories that deserves to be seen. From soulful podcasts to live streams and dreamers. This is your stage, your spotlight. Hello Meghalaya. Your story starts here.